Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, I am going to discuss about Microsoft Azure Virtual Machine. How to create Windows Virtual Machine we are going to see in this video. So don't skip anything. So every point is to be important. So don't skip this video. Watch till end. Surely you will get more things we are going to discuss in this video. So we all know about we have started Azure tutorials in which we have covered about cloud computing things and what is about Azure Portal and walk through this Azure Portal and what are the services Azure is providing. All these things we have seen in these previous videos. So watch those videos before getting started to this video. So I suggest to watch those videos firstly and then come to this video. So that will help you at great extent. So let's get started. So one of the best service which Azure is providing is virtual machines. As you know, that resource group is a one thing which you have to know before getting started. That is local container for the related services. So coming to virtual machines, a virtual machine is a we can call it as a IaaS service like infrastructure as a service. These virtual machines are we have seen three services, that is infrastructure as a service and platform as a service and software as a service, which are the service levels provided by this any cloud computing. So coming to virtual machines, these are IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service thing. It is where there is no physical servers and no low cost and no hardware to manage. So this cloud platform is providing you no physical server and no hardware. So easily you can create these virtual machines through this Azure portal. When VM is deployed, other things also you have to think about, like when you are using virtual machine in Azure, some additional require components besides this virtual machine is needed. So including like networking we can say, and we can also say as a storage resources. So see this diagram architecture where you can see we have a virtual machine which is under in virtual networking is very important. Under virtual network a VM is there, virtual machine. For that virtual machine you will have a network interface that is mandatory for any virtual machine, and we have a subnet for that virtual machine, and we also have an NSG, that is network security groups. So these thing all these things are related to the virtual machine where we have to select all those things while creating a virtual machine. And for any virtual machine you will have an OS operating system, and also for data storage disks will be there, and for temporary storage you will have a physical SSD on host. That will also you can have as temporary thing. And next you will transfer this VMs into a managed disk or unmanaged disk. Like you can manage the disk, like you can extend or decrease the storage disks, like that you can also do with by you if you enable this managed disk. And also related to VM you will have a diagnostics also, like you can give the logs of those diagnostics about performance and everything. You can have a log storage also, you can store those logs information. So the all these things are related to this virtual machine. You have to know about the things related to virtual machine while you are creating virtual machine. So these things, a resource group, if you're having any resource group you can use that resource group. That resource group helps us to bind the things, similar things at one. So that will help you to track those resources, or you can for billing purpose it will be helpful if you use any resource group. These are the properties. For example, if you are buying anything, like you are creating virtual machine, you have to check the properties. What type of virtual machine it is, what type of disk it want, what type of OS it is required, what type of a network interface, what is the public IP. All these things are related to the virtual machine. So you have to know about those things before getting started with the virtual machine. So resource group is that thing. Next we have to go for the virtual machine. You can create virtual machine in different ways, we'll see in the next few minutes. And coming to disk, you have two types of disk, that is managed disk and unmanaged disk. As you told that if you want to manage the disk, like increasing or decreasing or any changes in that disk, you can go for managed disk thing. And for networking you have different things, that is virtual network and network interface and IC. And we have a public IP address. Basic things like what is meant by virtual network. That is nothing but a for every VM is deployed into a virtual network that can be segmented into multiple subnets, right? Network interface, why we use network interface means for having communicate with the virtual machines, we have to have this virtual network. And for IP address, to communicate with the virtual machines through IP address we require IP address. For example, via RDP, like a remote desktop, we need to have public IP address there. So basically, public IP address is default is dynamic value. For example, if you want that as a static value, you can also use. Why should this IP address should be that much important? Like, for example, if you are creating any website that should be hosted out by IAS, that should be available to all the IP address. Like if you are using one IP address, then if the VM is lost, then the website will be lost, right? There is no possibility to again retrieve those things. So site is not available at that time. So to manage that type of thing, so prefer the static IP address. That should be very helpful to use. So I prefer static network, but default it is dynamic. You can change that. So next, the things we have is network security groups, which allows or denies the network traffic. What type of traffic you want to allow to your virtual machine? What type of traffic you do not want to allow into a virtual machine? That you can decide by using this network security groups. It should be associated with either subnets or with the individual virtual machines. You can do as your own. Next, operations we will have for virtual machine is availability. You can have a like availability is nothing but the how much time the service will be available, those things, and backups we are there, and stopping virtual machines are there, and deleting virtual machine also operations you can perform in virtual machines. Coming to cost considerations, considerations means a virtual machine. Coming to cost things, if you want to after creating a virtual machine, you will have it three things, that is deleting a virtual machine, and stopping a virtual machine, and shutdowning a virtual machine. Your costing things will be depend upon those things. Region to region it will differ the costing things, and subscription to subscription the Azure costing things will be different. Coming to size of the virtual machines, like drives or disk we can say, that will differ. Size can be of our own, or maybe the default things, that will differ in the costing things. And next, if you after using of your virtual machine, you are going to stop your virtual machine. There are two types of things you can stop. For example, I will show you the already created virtual machine, where you will have these options like start and stop. For example, I'm showing you Linux virtual machine. For example, if you start and also work on this, and if you're stopping this thing by using this portal thing, uh, internally what happens means the data rack servers of VM will be deleted if you stop here. Whenever you start, it might create a same rack or maybe different. So you can't say what type of rack it is going to give. So at that time, no data will be stored in your virtual machine. So here what you are doing means your IP address will be changed once you stop it the things. The racks will be deleted. There is no proper thing like you will get a same IP address when you stop and after starting the thing. So at this time, what will happening is, if you start by using this portal by using stop button, then it will not charge you any cost here. So that is the one point you have to remember while costing. And if you added any additional disk to this, even VM is stopped, then it will cost you. It will cost you because of that added disks which are running at other place. So like this, that will cost. So all these things you have to keep in mind while creating this virtual machine. You have to know all these things, like costing is one most important thing you have to look after. So this thing, and shutdowning, if you are creating any virtual VM, after using that virtual VM, for example, you are shutdowning there in the virtual machine, then it will perform a stop VM task, like the status of this thing will be stopped. But what will happen means you can again run that temporary data in your DDX. That is, no, your temporary data will not deleted even if just you shut down your uh, computer Windows system. If you shut down by using Windows, then it will doesn't affect your temporary data. It will always out there. If only if you stop the thing, then that will be stopped permanently. Your temporary data will be removed, and your IP address will also change. So it will, if you shut down at your Windows place, then it will cost you partially, like not the total cost, but it cost you partially. So if you want to of the virtual machine performance, then you have to stop by using the portal here, stop. So that will not cost you, and that will not affect your virtual machine. Like your data will be uh, removed. If your data will be stored in that, then you don't use the stop button, but you can shut down your virtual machine after connecting to your virtual machine if your task is done. So let's see the things. Cost consideration is over. Next we'll have this security consideration. Coming to security is very most important thing. You have to look after those things also. And next, we have seen this the how to the things associated with virtual machine. Now let's go to the lab, like how to create, how to select these things we are going to see now. So not only virtual machine of Windows, we can also create Linux types by using this virtual machines. Now we are in the Azure portal. We are going to see the lab thing, like creating Windows virtual machine. Like what are the properties you can select? What are the different options are present for you? So you can close this thing. That will get you full clarity. So now subscription, which I have the Azure, which is a disabled now. So if you have any active subscription, you can use that subscription here. That will be pop up here. If you have any active subscriptions, choose that active subscription. You may have a pay as you go will have, and free account subscription is okay. So next, you if you're having any resource group is already created, you can use that resource group, or otherwise you can create a new resource group also. So creating new resource group also you can create, like I'm creating a virtual machines resource now. I will give as virtual machines as a resource name. This is you can create as your own resource name group. So just I am showing you the things, like you can create new resource group also. So what is the resource group means? It's a local container for your related services. For example, today you are creating all the services, you want to group all these resources you are creating today. You can make a day one resource group, then you can list all these resources in that resource group. So why this we can use this resource group can means you can delete at a time all the related resources you created. So should be under one resource group. You can just create and delete that resource group, so that related things will be deleted. That will follow a hierarchy, like the things will be followed. So this is the use of resource group, you can see here. So next, we'll have this machine virtual machine name. You can give any virtual machine name here. So that is the name of your virtual machine, that will be user defined. You can give anything, but it is having a some like some properties, like you should be like this length, like that you will have. So it will throw an error if that will not match your properties. So next, like you can see, the value should not be empty, and the Azure resources name it cannot contain special characters, should not be contained there. White spaces and again begin with underscore or end with dot or dash. That these things are not allowed here. The value should be between 1 and 64 characters long only, not greater than that and less than this. So you have to follow all these things while creating any virtual machine. And next, we'll have this region. Like coming to region, region may differ. The costing of this virtual machine may differ for region to region. So while creating a region, while selecting the region, you have to take care about it. Like you can see which religion costing how much, so that you can select your region, like how it will be cost. Like some, if you are having any thing, like if you have having any using any policy related subscriptions or any organization related subscription, then you have to choose this religion based upon the region what the policy has given to you. So like the things will happen. And next, we have this availability options. Coming to availability, you have to know about this availability things. So I will give you brief glance about this availability. There are two types of availability option. One is availability set and other is availability zone. Coming to availability set, so availability is nothing but you all know about the percentage of time of a service is available, how much time the service will be available, which comes under availability. Yes, availability should be a need for all the things, like if your Azure VMs are running on the physical server hosted in the Azure data centers, if there is a chance of the failure of those data centers, at that time you should need a backup of that. Like availability should be there. So otherwise your services or your any websites or anything may miss down. So this, to avoid all these things, you should have look on this availability, right? So availability should be of two different types. Availability set are there and availability zones are there. What are the things we can see now here? So coming to availability set, availability set is nothing but a logical feature used to ensure that group of related VMs are deployed so that they are all in same at a single point of failure, not at all upgraded at the same time during the host operating system upgrade in the data center. So what is this means For example, if your server is down, likewise, then should be a backup, right? So it should have like like those things like fault domains and update domains. Like when you place your VM in the availability set, Azure guarantees to spread them across fault domains and update domains. What is meant by fault domains and update domains? You have to know about it. If you give an availability set while creating a VM, it will allocate a special space or service to that VM. That is nothing but a default domain. That is a fault domain. Fault domain is a special group of hardware in Azure that shares a common set of hardware components and share a single point of failure. Like you can see, it's just nothing but a rack. Like if your virtual availability set is this, like you're having virtual machine and SQL server, it will create a one availability set just like a rack. Like only one VM should be affected. If your network is in a failure, like your racks may be your VM is in a failure likewise, then it will deploy one more VM in your fault domain. Like it will create one more rack for you as an availability set. Like it will also have a update domain. What will this update domain means? It's a logical group of hardware that can undergo maintenance and or rebooted at the same time. Azure will automatically place an available set into update domains to minimize the impact when the Azure platform introduced a host operating system changes. Azure then process each domain in a single time. If you didn't get exact meaning of those things, you can go through any website and you can learn all about this. These things are nothing but update domain and fault domain. Update domain is nothing but created when the host VM is having any domain servers, like if it is restarted the VM or destroyed, or to save the VMs we use this update domain. So it is not using when you're restarting or rebooting, then also we need another backup, right? So at the time we use this update domain. So these two things can be selected while you're using this availability set. Now comes to back to the lab. So when I selected the availability set, it will ask you that availability set to be selected. Like we are creating new availability set, it will ask you the name of that availability set, and will ask you the fault domains, how many fault domains you want, like how many racks you want, like how many duplicates you want to replicate of your VM, like fault domains and update domains. These two are the two different things which are having similar differences between things. Like fault domain will create a separate space or servers for that VM, where update domain is created to host the VM if any previous domain server is restarted, or that VM or destroyed. So to save that VM, that update domain is used. So two different operations are, at the time of two different failures, these things will help us uh, to solve that problem. So this is nothing but availability set concept. Next we'll have this image. Like we have created availability set and then that thing is over. Next we have a one property called as image. You can use what type of virtual machine you are going to create can be decided by using this image. You are creating this Linux, or now we are creating Windows virtual machine. So I have to create an image of Windows Server 2019 data center generation. There are different types of images we have, like Red Hat and Ubuntu server and many things. Oracle is there, Debian, and all these things are present. If you want a Windows, then you go for Windows Server 2009 data center. There are many different servers of 2016 data center generation 2. There are many. You can use as you're required, and the cost of that you can, by seeing all those things, you can decide your images. So what is nothing but image means you are replicating the same server in your virtual machine. You are using that image to create this virtual machine. For example, that can be predefined things. You can also select from here. This Azure is providing, and you can also see, you can create your own image. Like if you are having any virtual machine previously, you want to replicate the same virtual machine again once again, so can use the image concept by using a snapshot, which is the service provided by the Azure, or we can use other methods to create an image of that particular virtual machine, and then you can create the same virtual machine by using that image here at this column. So that is the one point we have to know about this image. And next what we have means Azure Spot instance. What this help you me if you enable this thing, it will help us to allow us to use unused capacities. Likewise, the times of workloads, it will help us to do such kind of things. This Azure spot instance will help you. If you're doing clarity, check it once. So next, sizes. Coming to sizes, what type of Windows server data, Windows things you want, what type of like it is having how many CPUs, like a memory, what type of memory it will you want. Like you can decide based upon the cost per month, like you will have these things. So based upon your subscription, you can use and select this type of things, sizes. So Azure provides so many sizes requirements. So you can see the selected size, general purpose are there. So the number of disk it is providing, RAM, you can see CPUs, temporary storage, how it is providing. You have so many VM sizes. You can check all those things before selecting this thing. Based upon cost also you can select. And next, one more thing which is having administration account, like it will ask you for like what type of like security is most important, na? So what username you are going to give and passwords and confirm password is the thing is there. So you have to give like name, username you can give, password and give, that should be not empty and should value must be 1 to 20 characters long. Like coming to password, it should be 12 to 123 characters long. So confirm password is the thing. When in this virtual machine you will have this username and password. Coming to Linux things, you will also have an SSH key concept. So while we are discussing about Linux virtual machine, we are going to discuss those things, but not now. So next, see, inbound port rules are there. One more concept where which helps us to virtual network ports to accessible from the public internet. You can specify more limited and granular network access on the networking tab. Like you can inbound your ports, like you can allow all the ports, or you cannot. If you don't want to use inbound ports, you can give it as none. So inbound port is RDP is there, and SSH and HTTP, and HTTP is there. For example, if this is Windows, you will have this RDP. Whereas coming to Linux, you don't have this RDP. You only have SSH and HTTP and HTTPS. So this allows us to IP address to access your virtual machine. This is recommended for testing. Use this advanced controls in network time to create a rules to limit your inbound traffic to a known IP address. So instead, we have this licensing things. And next, we'll see some more properties which Azure is providing for creating Azure virtual machine. So next, we have this disks concept where virtual machine is operating in operating system has disk and temporary disk. We have one operating system disk is there and temporary disk is there for short time storage. So you can attach more data disks, like if you want to give extra disk, you can attach. The size of the VM determines the type of storage, and you can use the number of disk allowed, which you are allowing, right? So this is the disk type, and the encryption type you can use. Disk types of many: premium SSD is there, standard SSD, standard HDD, which is best for production and infrastructure sensitive workloads, which is used. The standard SSD is best for web servers, lightly used enterprise applications and dev test. And HDD is best for backup and non-critical and infrequent access, like those things. So next we have this advanced, when we go for disk, where we can check that use manage disk, that will help us to give manage. If you already created that VM, again you want to increase the number of disks, then you can able to do you only if you check on this particular part. So use this manage disk whenever you create virtual machine, that will help you at great extent. So next, coming to networking part, we can as we discussed earlier, by creating virtual machine, all you have to do is you are creating it will create this virtual network and subnet and interface and network security groups. All these things will be associated with virtual machine for security purpose, right? Network interface you have to create, which is mandatory one. But for one virtual machine, you will have only one network interface. You can't give a virtual machine to one or more another interface. You can't move even after creating a virtual machine. You can't move one virtual machine into one virtual network or another virtual network. You can't do these things. For one VM, you will have only one virtual network. For one VM, you will not have two virtual networks. So already you have created a network, then you can use that network, or you can also create a new network here. So create you will have a network, then you can use or create a new network here. So it will give about network is nothing but it will have a subdomains, subnet and IP address, right? So these things will takes place here. Subnet you can decide, and next IP address you can give, or you can create a new IP address. Different services are there by creating these things. So IP address, while you are giving all everyone prefer that a static IP address, because dynamic may differ time to time, so that will not desirable like those things. So next we'll have this network security groups, where you can give basic and none and advanced network security groups. You can give inbound port same, how you are selecting virtual machine, so that thing will same, like what type of traffic should be allowed by using this network. It will filter the traffics, like you can say, like what type of traffic should be comes under virtual network, that should decide. So the same thing you have to select here, public inbound ports and select ports, these things. And next, load balancing, like traffic, and like if in times of heavy traffic, how to balance that traffic. If you place your virtual machine behind the existing workload function, then you can check, and you can if you're having any load balancer, you can give those things here. So load balancing may be of two different types, that is application gateway. You can see the service here, load balancer there, like you can go for this, or application thing also there, you can go for that thing also. So like coming to networking, you can select this load balancing thing also, where you can have two options, that is application gateway and Azure load balancer. Application gateway is generally HTTP and HTTPS web traffic load balancer with a URL based routing or SS termination or session persistence and web application firewall. All this comes under application network. Whereas coming to Azure load balancer supports all the TCP and UDP network traffic, port forwarding, and next output flows. All these things can be managed by Azure load balancer. So based upon the selection of where you can go for that application gateway, you can select, or any Azure load balancer you can select. Coming to virtual machine, so before selecting this, you have to create that load balancer. The next you can select that thing, particular thing here. So like you can select, and next coming to next tab of this creating virtual machine, we are under this boot diagnostic. As we see in this diagram, we can log the particular data information about virtual machine, like how it is working and anything. We can have this system identity we can use, like login before you, if you want to use this active directory login, like you can do. And we can enable this auto shutdown. For this particular time, you can give you shut down this virtual machine, like you can give auto shutdown. So like the things we can give in this management. And next we have the advanced settings, like extensions. Once your configuration is done, after the post deployment configuration and automation, you can add some extension to your virtual machine. Like if your virtual machine has a particular extension, so you can select and add your extension here. So that will provide your virtual machine that extension after this post deployment. And you can give custom data and user data. You can write this custom data, which is in the script or configuration, that will stored in a noun place of your VM. So that will store at particular place in your VM. Next we have this user data you can give. Next to hosting things we can give. So these are things are advanced things, and nobody goes for this type of things. Or if you are want these things, then only you can use. And next, tags. One concept of tags is nothing but, this is nothing but a name value pair, key value pair, we can say, that enables us to categorize resources and view concerted billing by applying the same tags to the multiple resources and groups. As we have seen, the resource groups are billing purpose will be helpful, like it will ease your billing purpose. Like similarly, tags will help us to helps us easy billing purpose. So that will again helpful to retrieve that particular resource easily by using these tags. So you can use these things, or if you don't want this, you can skip these things. And review and create, where it will check for validation. If you are missing any part that is not under policy or anything that is not desirable, then it will show this validation failed and requirement process missing or anything. If you are having any subscription, all these things are clear, then it will give a green sign that validation is correct or successful. Then you have to create option here. Create option is enabled, then you can create, then your virtual machine is absolutely created. For connecting virtual machine, what we can do is we can have two options, that is you can go for you can use IP address, so that you can use that IP address. You can go for RDP, or otherwise use this connect button, where you will get a one file of RDP. You can open that file, your VM will be open, and it will ask you for login credentials, where you have given while making a VM, that you should have to give there. So this is all about creating VM. We have seen architecture here. We have seen lab, like how to create a VM and what are the properties we'll have in creating a virtual machine. All the things we have seen, all the tabs which we have seen, like basics things we have, disks we have, networking we have to select, and management we have to select, and advanced things we have seen, and tags we have seen, and finally review create is there. So Not only by using the portal like Azure portal we can create virtual machine. Like we have seen availability sets. What are the availability set? Availability zone is also will be there for any virtual machine. Availability zone is nothing but in the region, like availability in the at the region place, like availability at tracks is availability sets, right? Availability at data center level will be availability zones. Like if one data center will be failure, then what will the backup of that, like other availability is there. So that should comes under this availability zone. Like at the level of data centers, if you are having anything at the level of racks, you will call it as a data set, and the level of data centers we call it as the availability zone. So that thing also we can go and give for any virtual machine, so that will avoid your failure of your virtual machine. So this is nothing but availability of your virtual machine. So one more last thing which we are going to discuss in this video is not only we can create Azure by using this Azure portal, like we have seen now the things, right? Which is nothing but creating virtual machine, where we have this services virtual machine. Select create virtual machine basic tab. So we have created instances, like selecting the sizes and everything, administration user things we have given inboard rules, and remaining things we can give as a default, and we can go for direct after completing the basic information. You can directly go for review and create. So that will be created. So after running the validation, it will create button will be enabled, so that you can create. After deployment everything is clear, it will go to resource will option will be there, so you can go to resource. So resource, after creating resource, it will be gives like this, like uh, you can connect to that remote desktop by using this connect button. You will get a file here. To open that file, and you will page. So default option is IP address. You can go and click the RDP file. You can open that. Connect will be prompted. So like things will happen. After connecting to these things connection, you can install web server in that by using this PowerShell. Go to VM. That's a Windows VM. So you can go to PowerShell and run this command, so that your IAS will be installed. So after opening the IAS, it will be like this. So these things we have created windows by using portal, all these things. So if you haven't got any clarity, any doubts, refer this website, which is an official website without before going to other websites. So prefer the things which are under the official website. So docs.microsoft.com English US, and Azure, where is the virtual machines and Windows. You can if you comes under virtual machines Windows, we will have this quick create portal. So under this we will have step by step. So check on these things and create virtual machine. If you check other parts without having knowledge on these things, it will lose your money, as it will if you are selected more number of sizes, even if you don't want that particular size, then it will cost you much, right? So understand all these availability things, and what you can select, and how to reduce the cost, like the things you have to see. And next one, not only with portal, you can also create with the CLI. In the Azure network we have this CLI here. Azure CLI is there. It will mount it for storage account, where you can have a storage account, and will in this Azure cloud shell you will have two options, that those are Azure CLI and Azure PowerShell. So both of the things will help you to create and manage Azure resources. That is from command line or in scripting. This is PowerShell scripting, right? PowerShell command line scripting. So coming to CLI, how you can create means, first you have to launch this cloud shell there, and then you have to run this particular command, that is AZ group create name, and name of that resource group, and location you have to specify. For creating a virtual, first you have to create resource group. Under that resource group, you are going to create this virtual machine. So these are the commands here which you have to use this and copy here, and you can paste there. As your user defined names, you can give as a group, the resource group which you have given previously. You can give name of the virtual machine. You can give image, what type of virtual machine you want, like Windows or any Linux or thing you can give. And public IP address, SKU, what we have said in basic or standard, we have to specify. And next a username you have to give. So all these things with the basic things we have to give. After running this particular, you will get an output like this. What the public address, it will give you public IP address and private IP address, so that you can use that particular VM, right? So open port 80 for web traffic, connect your VM, so that you can install web server as similarly you have done by using this portal. portal things, and next go to web server in action. After that, doing all these things, you have to create resources, so that will help you to get your subscription billing purpose reduced. So it will not cost you much if you created resources after using that resources. This is how you create Windows network by using Azure CLI. Not only with Azure CLI, but also you can use Azure PowerShell, which is present one of the option of Azure Cloud Shell, where we have this similar things like first you have to launch this Azure Cloud Shell, like this thing. You have to launch this thing, and it will have bash and PowerShell. So open one thing here, a PowerShell. Yeah, I'm not having any subscription, so that is not popping up. So next, how to create this thing means you have to run this command like az resource group, and next az vm. Some similar things will be different, so commands will be somewhat different, but the process will be same. Next, we have to connect to virtual machine, so you have to specify these things for creating like virtual networks and subnet security groups and public IP address, all ports, what are they have to inbound ports, outbound ports. So connecting to virtual machine, and you can install web server in this virtual network also. So virtual machine also, Windows virtual machine. Like server is in the action, then everything is okay. Like it is allowing you to port 80 right from internet, so that will help you. And next, clean the resources once you have done all these things. And not only from Azure CLI and Azure PowerShell, you can also go for Azure ARM, that is Azure Resource Management Template. So resource management template is one most of the thing where you can create any virtual resource like you can create any resource or manage any resource by using this Azure template also. Like Azure ARM template is a JavaScript JSON file, JavaScript object notation, which defines the infrastructure and configuration of your project. Like first, you have to specify all the things which you want, and then properties and everything in the JSON format. Then it will give you that virtual machine. Like you can create virtual machine by using the ARM template also. So where that will present means I will show you in the portal. Like you can go for deployment a custom template, where you have this it will defaultly give some common templates, like create a Linux template and create a Windows machine and web, all these are basic things. You can build your own editor. So here you have, here you can write all these JSON things, and you can save this, and you can create this template. So not only like this, you can also use this commonly used templates also here. Sorry, it's gone. Like Windows virtual machine is the template which is already present, so you can use that particular thing like edit template. So already information is there, like what type of things we have to specify, that you can specify. First, take a look on this, like how to create a ARM template for virtual machine. What are the properties you have to specify, like all the available things like admin password, username, and public IP address, allocation method, SKU, and versions are, what are the versions, this many allowed values are there. In this values, what you need, like what type of version you want in the Windows. Like you can select, and metadata you can select, in locations, what are the different locations, like syntax it has given. So based upon this, what the you required the things, you can use those things, and you can create that. So by using ARM template, you can deploy this template. Enter the following world subscription group and location, admin username, password, and DNS label preference, Windows OS version, VM size, location. After this, review and create. You can create and deploy your VM. Your VM will be ready for that. So after using all this thing, you have to clean up the resources. So if you no longer need any resource, you can just delete that resource group. So that will delete your VM and all the resources present in that resource group. So select the resource group on that page, resource group. You have a delete option. When it is prompted, type the name of the resource group and then delete. So I will show you that how to create delete one resource. So I'm not having any resource groups right now. So this is the resource group which I'm having, Linux resource group, where we have this delete resource group, where you can give the name of that resource group, then you can delete the resource. The elements present in all the resource groups will be deleted. So that will help you to delete all the items at a one time. So these are the things which we have discussed in this video. So most of the things we have discussed related to VM things like resource groups we have seen, virtual machine, different types of virtual machine disks and networks or related to virtual machine operations and cost considerations also we discussed, like stopping of VM or scheduling of the VM, what are the difference we have seen, all these things we have discussed. So that's all about creating a VM in the virtual machine Azure VM. So hope I think everything is clear with you. If you're having any doubts regarding to these things, you can feel free to comment in the comment section. I will definitely reply to your comments. So I'm not at an advanced level or any teaching or anything, but I'm giving the things which I learned in the previous months to my friends or colleagues, sharing this information. So I thought to make a YouTube video also, so that will help others also. So this is not at a high level English and high technology I'm using, terminology I'm using, but simple English I'm using. So giving the only the information at basic level. So I'm not telling I'm giving a professional type of things. So I think I'm talking about teaching about only the basic things we have to know before creating any virtual machine, all these things. Hope this video you like. Give a big thumbs up below, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And we have made similar videos in the previous videos also. Go to my channel and visit the playlist of this Azure Microsoft Azure tutorials. So watch all these videos and let us know how you feel our tutorials will be. If you are having any suggestions for us, you can feel free to comment in the comment section, so that will help us to improve better in the upcoming videos. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment.